So I saw this post the other day on a community site and it just really struck at my heart, and I thought I would be able to come on here and talk a little bit more about it. So, and I'm sure, and I know there's lots of you that feel exactly the same way. So I'm going to read the post out and I am going to give you my advice if you were this person or if you were feeling this way. Okay, so I'm just reading it off my lap. So it says, good morning. It says, I'm feeling at a loss at the moment with my body. I've been on a roller coaster doing all the fads. I have done challenges and I have had success only to fall into bad habits again. I feel extremely time poor and I'm needing to tone this mum, tum and apron. Does anyone have any answers on what type of exercise is the best to target this area and a great nutrition program that doesn't involve shakes? Okay, so this was the post, and when I read that, I know of lots of mums that feel the same way. But if you are the same way, you are not alone, and please don't feel that way. So my response, if you are feeling like this, is to take a deep breath and give yourself a break. Okay. We are a very busy, fast-paced lifestyle. So we're very busy, we're very fast-paced, there's lots of things going on. Social media is prevalent in all of our lives, and we are scrolling and looking at different things and looking at different people, looking certain ways, and we have this expectation that we should all be the same way or that it should happen like that. And it's not true. So I want you to just forget about anyone else, forget about what fad your friend's done, forget about anything that you've tried, and just really, really stop and think about yourself and what works for you. There is no secret ingredient, no fad diet is going to work for long term. What I want you to do is I want you to think about, how can I be consistent? How can I be consistent? Because the key is consistency. How can I find something that works for my lifestyle, works in with my family, that I will be able to stick to? Because when you tried these diets or these fad diets or any different challenges or any of those things you've done before, you haven't been able to stick to the food that you were eating or any of that stuff, which I don't blame you. It's not your fault. And stop blaming yourself. It's the diets that are the fault. That's the diets that are to blame. But we are led to believe that we didn't stick to the program enough, or we just need to work harder, or we need to be more disciplined in order to get this result or keep the result off. So before you start anything, the number one thing I want you to think about is, how can you be more consistent at whatever you do? If you are choosing to train 5 times a week, okay? If you're choosing to train 5 times a week and you hate it and you are then losing time with your kids or and you don't want to do that, don't do it. Because you might stick to it for a few weeks or 8 weeks or any of those things, but you're not going to be able to stick to it long term. And if you look at the things that you've done in the past, you could stick to it for a challenge or for a certain amount of time, but then you obviously you couldn't stick to it because it was unrealistic to your life. Again, it is not meaning that you are the problem. It's just meaning the plan is not suited to you. So what we want to think about, number one, what can you be consistent at? Number two, I want you to really start to think about you and what works for you and what works within your lifestyle. And then, so if I was looking at, trying to add in some exercise, for example. So are you someone that works, you're quite happy to be disciplined and work well on your own at home? Does that suit you? Are you somebody does that work for you? Are you somebody that, you need a group environment and you really enjoy the atmosphere of group training? Are you somebody that you're happy to follow a program and you're happy to go to a gym on your own to follow a program? Are you someone that you don't want to be in a group, but you really need to be one-on-one with a trainer to keep you accountable? There's no right or wrong. It's working out what works for you. So that would be my second step, is thinking about what works for you. There's factors that for our lifestyle, for this person who feels lost, who would like to lose weight, who would like to, she talks about getting rid of her mum tum. So obviously food is going to be, and she didn't want to do any shakes, which I don't blame her. But nutrition is a really, really important part. So what you've got to think about is what is going to work for you. So are you somebody that is happy to prepare food? And are you somebody that is, you're not going to cook food, you don't want to cook food at all, you prefer to get a meal service and get that delivered to you? Are you somebody that really enjoys understanding your food and counting your macros? Are you someone that finds all of that stuff really overwhelming? So again, no right or wrong, but what suits your personality like that? So we then want to break it down and think about what is working for who we are, what's working for our personality. So when you then can think about those things, we're then starting to be able to eliminate options of what you can do. So if you are somebody that, you're not motivated enough to train at home on your own, you've tried it before and you're not going to do it, then you need to find somewhere that you can go to, like a group class or a one-on-one. If you are somebody that you will not make your own food, then maybe getting in a food service. There's so many about now that are they're following your macros or whatever. There's so many of them that you could get in that could help you in that way and take that stress away. There is always a solution. It's just sometimes getting somebody from the outside to look in and help you out. So getting rid of this mum tum is going to look at your food, and obviously I would think for that circumstance, I'd look at, have you learnt to switch on your transverse abs? That is a whole another thing that I will talk about, but I'm not going to go in that today. So lots of times, I will go into it for 1 second. Lots of times women, they have this mum tum and they, feel but they haven't actually learned to switch their core on properly. We have these abs straight under our chest and they want to switch on straight away. We need to learn to switch on our core from your pelvic floor and pull in those transverse abdominals, which will help pull in that mum tum. So that is a total other topic. So this is what I'm looking at. So we want to be something that we could be consistent at. We need to start looking at our personality, okay? What works for you and what works in your lifestyle. So for me, it changes. It changes as my kids have changed. My kids are now nearly 10 and nearly 6. So what suits me now did not suit me when they were babies. So it evolves and you evolve, but that's why we need to be reassessing and looking at your life. So when my kids were little, I found it easier to work out in little segments throughout the day. So I'm always motivated enough to exercise on my own, so I don't find that a problem. Now my kids are a bit older, I have found that I have a gym at my house. So in my circumstance, I can do stuff when my kids are at school, but lots of times I'm working during that time. So then I also found that if I go into the studio to do work, to do a workout for myself, lots of times I get interrupted by my kids. So that's frustrating. So I found that I was better off to take myself away from my house where I can't be interrupted if I was doing a workout outside of school hours. Again, so that has changed for me. So rehashing over this person's call for help, or if they're feeling lost at the moment with their body. I've been on a roller coaster doing all of the fads. I've done challenges and I've had success only to fall into bad habits again. So I'm going to go into this a little bit more. What I want you to think about is when you have done when you've spent your whole life dieting, or you've jumped from fad to fad to fad, unfortunately your body doesn't trust you anymore. Okay, because we are restricting, and then that ends, and then we maybe binge again, and you're kind of in this whole yo-yo cycle. And then each time we think we need to, restrict even more or eat less, or or put our body under more torture in order to lose weight or look a certain way. So continually over time, and then we think, I hear lots of people saying things like, well, this used to work for me, but it doesn't work now. So I want you to see your body as a bank account. So when we're born, that bank account is full. Okay, so we say, let's have $1 million in our bank account of our body. Now, over time, we are slowly taking from that bank account. Now, as you're young, and you are taking from that bank account, and you are not noticing that that balance is starting to get smaller. So you can do things like, when I was 20, I definitely wasn't eating properly. I used to only eat salads and overeat on pasta, definitely didn't eat protein. I would drink iced coffees and once I was old enough to drink alcohol, there was times that we would be partying and having no sleep. Nothing wrong with that, it's called living your life. But all of that stuff takes from your bank account. So slowly over time, so the more diets, the more restricted you've been on your body, the more that you have yo-yo, that bank account balance is pretty low and your body doesn't trust you, okay? So what we first need to look at doing is getting your body to trust you more and to trust that you are going to fuel it properly and that you are going to care for it. Now, how I see caring for your body is managing stress, getting enough sleep, getting good nutrition, and moving well. So there's kind of 4 really important factors that our body needs. So what we want to look at is that the more that we have dieted, the more that we've yo-yoed, the more that we've tried all these fads, the more kind of time we need to give our body more time to have confidence in you and your ability to fuel it properly and to give it what it needs. And again, you are not to blame. You are not to blame at all. So don't see this as a reason to blame yourself or anything. See this as, okay, this is a learning opportunity. This is what I've done in the past. I can't change it. I can't do anything about it. I'm going to move forward. And if you don't trust me, then just try it, because it's not going to hurt you. And anything you've done in the past, it hasn't worked because you haven't been able to maintain or keep that weight off. So just trust me for a little bit and just see how you go. So we need to get trust back in our body. I really enjoy teaching people how to follow their macros. I think it is a really important thing that we can understand about how to fuel our body, what our body needs, and how to give it that right balance of protein, fats, and carbs. I believe by following your macros that you can have your cake and you can eat it too, because you're not following a plan or a cookie cutter plan that someone's giving to you. You are designing the plan to suit your lifestyle. So yes, that means if you really enjoy wine, include that in there. And understand that, if you enjoy chocolate, you put that in there, because this is going to be something that you can stick to for life. When you've maybe tried challenges or things you've done before that were quite restrictive, you haven't been able to stick to it. So that's the thing. And depending on your age, depending on how long you spent yo-yoing or trying different things and feeling like you're not working and you're failing, you've got all that baggage there. And you've got all those doubts about yourself and doubts about not trusting your body, not loving your body. You've got all of these doubts that we need to work on, and we need to start believing in ourselves and trusting that, you know yourself better than anyone that's giving you a program that's just telling you follow this and do this and you'll lose weight. We've got to understand all the factors that go into what fuels your body correctly and what makes you feel good. So these factors are understanding what protein is, how much protein you need a day, what carbohydrates are, what food has carbohydrates in, because more foods than what people believe, there's more carbs in things than people realize, how easy it is to be really high in your fats. And this learning and this awareness is what's going to teach you how to manage your food better so you don't yo-yo. So you can have those holidays and not feel like you've just blown out, and then that you can't get back on track. It is understanding your food and understanding how to fuel your body. For so many years, so I'm 41. So when I grew up, it was always about 1,200 calories, eating less food, all of those things. 1,200 calories is not enough food. So I come across lots of people who really, really struggle with this idea of having to eat more food. But again, we talked about, not trusting your body. And if you've had lots of years of yo-yoing, then we need to get when you aren't fueling your body enough, so when you're not eating enough food, your body will shut off the things that it doesn't need. So it will shut off the things it doesn't need in order for you to live. So then generally when you're not fueling your body correctly, you are going to lack energy. You'll probably feel more tired, because it's going to slow you down because you're not fueling it correctly. You'll tend to be more injured, all of those things. So what we have to do is we have to slowly getting this trust back in your body, but learn to eat more food and get your head okay with eating more food and get your body used to that. You're going to be eating more food and you're going to start fueling it correctly. And most people, when they learn how much their BMR is, which is your basal metabolic rate, when they learn how much they actually need to be eating, they're quite surprised. So again, it's all this stuff into starting to trust in yourself and knowing that you can manage it on your own. That's some of the things I would really be thinking about. If you're starting something and then we're going back to bad habits, please don't see it as a failure, because everything that you've done has got you to where you are today. So even if you've tried 10 million diets and they haven't worked for you, what you can do now is you can look back at them and you can look back at what worked and what didn't work. And remember that quote, the insanity quote. Insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. So when we spend this bit of time before you join another program, before you try anything else, spend these little times to look at these factors first. You can look at what you did do in the past, and let's, number one, start writing down what didn't work. So were you too restrictive? It didn't work in with your kids, or did you feel like it took away lots of your time? Anything of that. Whatever didn't work, you were exercising too much, or it was too long away, any of those things, or you didn't exercise enough, or you found it hard to fit walks in, any of those things. Whatever didn't work, let's not repeat it. Get rid of it. Get rid of it, or look at another way to make it work for you. We look at the things that maybe did work well. So this, we start to realize this did work well, and I felt really good when I was doing this. So then maybe if you're realizing those things, we can look at how we can put that back in. And having that reminder of this actually did work well for me is going to help you stay there. So what I always say is we need to fail. Failure is all part of the process in order to get long-term success in weight loss. We need to fail. We need to fall down. And the lesson is how quickly can you get back up? Failure is part of the process. So if you are failing and you're falling down and then you're like, yep, that's it. It's too hard. I told you that. It's meant to happen. It happens to everybody. Everybody falls at the wayside. Nobody's perfect. It's part of the process. It's meant to happen. But it's how we look at the failures. The failures are the learning lessons. The failures are the things that we look at as to how we can improve. And without failures, I would never be where I am today. Nobody would. They're meant to happen. I really, really like when I have a failure because it's a really great reminder. So let's say I'm trying to think of a recent one because I always have them. But I like the things with, say, here's my recent one. So deep down, my gut instinct was dairy doesn't work for me. That's my gut instinct, and years ago I'd cut it all out. And, I cut it all out and, I felt really good about it. But slowly it starts creeping back in and you don't think about it. And deep down again, but I didn't want to face it. I guess deep down I knew that every time I had a bit of dairy, like it was okay. But if I had too much in one day, I could definitely feel the grumblings in my tummy. And then a few weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, I thought I'm gonna cut this out again. So I had cut it out, and when I re-cut it out, I remembered how good it made me feel. How good, so it was that reminder of re-eating it again and going into that habit, and then cutting it out again and remembering when I did cut it out again, I realized how good I felt. But that's the motivator that keeps me away from that dairy. And this is what I'm saying to you with habits and with things that you're doing. We need those failures. We need those failures to happen so we can learn more about ourselves, so you can pick yourself back up and you can see what works and didn't work. If I hadn't cut it out, tried it again, and then re-cut it out, I wouldn't have known the difference in how it made me feel. I wouldn't have been able to pick that up. Again, when that also happens, it also gives me more of a motivator not to do it. So the motivator not to go there is not about because somebody told me it was not good to have dairy. The motor is because I don't enjoy how that makes me feel. So again, but without that failure, I would have never have realized any of those things, but it also makes it easier to stick to long term. So there's lots of these things that we need to look at before you start anything new, before you join anything. So we want to look at what can you stick to consistently. What have you done in the past? What have you done in the past? What worked for you? What didn't work for you? And what suits you? What suits you? What suits your lifestyle? What I find, time is probably one of the biggest things that I hear people making excuses about. Now, time is how you see it or how you perceive it. We all have the same amount of hours in a day. We are all busy in our own way. We all have our own level of busyness. But you can, if something is important to you, you can fit it in and you can make it work for you. And whether it means that we cut back on one thing, you look at your time. So let's say I was going to a gym, I was going to a class, so I dropped the kids off at school and then I would go to the class. So the class didn't start till 9:30. The kids, you would drop them off at 8:15. So there was kind of this lag time. And then after the gym, you would, because it was like hot yoga, so it was in like a hot room. So by the time I got home, I always had to have like a shower, all that. So instead of that 1 hour class, I was really losing 2.5 hours. So in my day, I had to when I was thinking about what I could fit in, I had to rejig my time and realize that, okay, that as much as I'm really loving and enjoying this, it's taking up a bit too much of my time at the moment. I need to work out how to rejig this. So whether it means going to a different class in the afternoon, so it's just really thinking of what works for you. So time. So we all have the same amount of time, and that's the thing. I ask people who tell me they don't have enough time. Where is your screen time at? How much time do you spend scrolling on Facebook? People tell me they can't get enough steps in. Now I have kids at school. So I get to school and I see so many mums sitting in the car, scrolling on their phones. As soon as I get to school, I get out of the car, I put a podcast on and I start walking. I might get 10 minutes in, I might get 20 minutes in, but I'm getting something in. I'm moving. I'm moving in that lag time that I have between activities. So you can always fit something in to make it work for you. And just walking is one of the best things that you can do. Being out in nature and walking is great, not only for your mental health, but there's research about it just clears everything. So if you're telling me that you can't fit anything in at all, I urge you, I know there's a way. Now, the other night after school, me and my son, we went out for a run at nighttime. We'd had our dinner, we went out for a run. He didn't watch TV. I'm normally doing jobs. But you can fit it in then. Get the kids on scooters. Incorporate your kids into your routine. Make them part of it. So you don't have enough time, do it because you have children, but include them. My kids know nothing other than me exercising. So they only know that. So they know when I'm working out. It's definitely not perfect, but they join in, they might interrupt, they might go, but it's something. And any movement is better than nothing. So that's what I want you to think. It doesn't have to be perfect, but time is probably the biggest thing. People say, I'm too time poor. But you can make it work. So we can work out how to, when I had a baby, when Tali was just born, I knew I really wanted to rebuild my core strength and work on all of that. But I was time poor. I had a baby. I had a 3-year-old as well. So it was important to me. So I set my alarm. I got up, 20 minutes earlier, and I did 20 minutes of yoga before my day started. Before the rest of the day, before I knew she was going to wake up roughly. Again, it wasn't always perfect, but I did that. I used to lay in front of the TV at night and do core exercises every night until I was strong enough. So, you can fit it in. Is it important enough to you? That's the question to ask yourself. Because we can keep telling us these excuses. I'm time poor, I'm too busy. We can tell ourselves all these excuses, but we're just fooling ourselves. We're fooling ourselves, and you are keeping yourself stuck. So really think about that, because you can change this. You can make these changes, and it's up to you. I'll give a great example of my husband, who was a smoker. So he used to smoke, and he hasn't smoked now for about 14 years. When we were going out for a while and whatever, you'd read the statistics of smoking or whatever, and I was like, I've heard people after 30, it's not very good for them. And I'd asked him if he would maybe stop. Now he used to smoke a pack a day, so I'd asked him if he'd stop, and he tried. He tried a few times, and then he always went back to it. And the reason was because he wasn't doing it for himself. He was doing it for me. So he didn't actually really, really want to stop smoking. He was doing it because I had asked him to. Now, when we moved to Australia and he realised, he moved to Australia and realised how expensive cigarettes were, and he didn't have a job at that moment and everything else, he was like, so the motivator was different. And because most of my family didn't smoke, where lots of friends and family from the UK, they all did smoke. So lots of friends and family, he didn't smoke, so he felt a bit like an outsider. So he wasn't, but that's his feelings. But the motivation came from him, and the motivation was there. So that motivated him to stop, which meant that he got through the cravings. He got through all of, they say that coming off cigarettes can be worse than drugs. He got through all of that stuff because he was motivated. So I want you to think about when you are looking for something new. So we've got all those factors I've asked you to look at first. But the motivation really has to come from you. Now, no one else is going to do it for you. No one else is going to know or understand the struggles that you have, but we all have struggles. But you can make it work. You can make it work for you. But the motivation has to be deep within you. My husband, when he was quitting his smoking, his face came out in welts. He put weight on. He felt shitty. He felt really crappy. And he kept saying that he felt worse when he stopped smoking than what he did when he did smoke. All of those things. But the motivation, he had that motivation there to get through all of those things. And 14 years later, he's not smoked. But what I'm saying to you is the motivation has to come from you. We have to understand these factors about ourselves. We have to understand your why, which is that deep internal motivator, and what you really want. Because that when we understand that, and that means that you know that you will get there no matter what happens, because we're going to be consistent. You are going to fall down. There's going to be speed humps along the way. There's going to be things that don't work for you. It happens to everybody. But we get up and we keep moving forward. We don't just give up. Because we look at any celebrities or anything, they didn't just get their first part like that. They were rejected however many times before they got into their first movie, So it's having this deep belief that you can do it, and that you can make it work for you, and that you just keep chipping away. But when we're changing and we're looking for this the next big fix that you can find, or the quickest way to lose weight, you spend all this time looking for this quick fix, and then you lose weight, put it back on, we yo-yo, we go here, we go there, you do all that. You may as well have just found something that you would have lost weight slower. You would have enjoyed what you were doing. You've still been able to live your life. And trust me, you'd be further than if you spent 1 year, 2 years chopping and changing from the next best thing because you didn't think it was working. So you've got to have that belief. And if you don't feel like you can believe in yourself, just fake it. Just fake it, because you will do it. You will do it. Just fake it. Tell people around you, get them to help you and support you and to keep prepping you up, and put as many things in place so then you can't drop down. Get a friend to meet you to walk. When I was young and I used to go to the gym, I had a friend come pick me up. He would come pick me up every morning. If he didn't pick me up, I wasn't going. Get that. Work. Again, when you think about your personality and what works for you, find those things for you. The last thing I want to remind you of is that when we talked about at the start about social media and what we see online, and what you're seeing is a very, very small snippet of something. And I guarantee you a lot of it, you're not seeing all of the background. So switch off from that stuff. Switch off from that stuff and don't focus on what they're doing. People come to me, oh, my friend did this to lose weight, I'm going to do the same. And I was like, you're not your friend. Your friend, you don't have that, we talked about that background of if you've spent years dieting. Your friend didn't have, you don't know what your friend has. You don't know about sleep and stress and how we manage things. It's all different and it's unique to you. So you have to find it, you have to customize it to where you're at. So the last thing is, our brain is wired to keep us safe. And what is safe for us is not necessarily the best thing for us. What is safe to our brain is what is familiar. So if you have someone that has lots of self-doubt, if you spent years dieting, your brain's going to want you to go back to those diets because that's what it knows. That's what's familiar to the brain. So we've got to get this trust in ourselves and this trust to understand that the brain is going to tell you to do what you've done before. So it's going to tell you what's done because that's what's familiar. It's going to tell you, oh my God, eating more food isn't going to work. Oh my God, I'm eating more food, so it's going to play games with you. It's going to do that. But we need to get this new trust in ourselves. But understand that's what our brain's going to do. It's going to try to keep us safe. And what is safe is not necessarily the best thing for us. When you start to understand some of those factors, like I have a lady that last year, we just scanned her last week and she got to her lowest weight. She's chipped away all last year. The previous year, she spent that year mucking around, trying to chop and change from things. And then last year, just at the start of the year, she said, this is what I need, accountability. I need you every week. And she did. She came to me every week and we had a check-in. We did something every week and she slowly chipped away and she's now lost over 12 kilos. But during that time that she's lost those 12 kilos, she has been able to go on numerous holidays. They really, really love going out. She's had last year was a really big year of celebratory birthdays. So really big family events. She was able to have all of those things, enjoy herself in all of those times and not give up and not feel guilty for it. Because she worked out what worked for her personality and she's 12 kilos lighter and she now knows and she's just keep chipping away. And she will get to where she wants to get to this year. I know she will. She's already got that. We scanned it already. She's at her lowest weight. And this is what I'm saying. When you start to understand yourself and we just start chipping away the year before, she spent a year in a spiral. Lose weight, put it back on. Lose weight, put it back on. Because she couldn't be consistent with anything. Because she was trying to chop and change and then things would stress and then she chopped and changed. And this is what I'm saying. You can do it. You just got to start to understand yourself and ask yourself these questions first because you have to be accountable for you. Yes, get people to help you out. Get your accountability partners. It's exactly what I am. Get all those people to help and support you. but you have to put those things into place first so you can get where you want to get to. Consistency is the key. Slow weight loss is long-term weight loss. Anyone that I've seen over the 13, 14 years that I have been a trainer, anyone that has really, really quick weight loss, they don't keep it on. They put it back on plus even more. So quick weight loss is bad weight loss. And most of the time, they're losing that muscle mass. Remember, that muscle mass is our protection, and we need that. Okay? So anyway, if you need some help, shout out, because I'm here to help you. I'm going to love you and leave you.